Our next speaker is Nicole Stoehr. She's a graduate student in the Department of Kinesiology, and today she'll be speaking to us about ways of navigating through unexpected obstacles.
So, I want you to think about how you got to your seat today. You probably came into the Plaza del Sol. Maybe some of you, it was your first time here. You opened the door. It's probably brightly lit. Maybe you were looking at your phone, and then you walked down the stairs and took a left or a right and took your seat. Not a lot of thought probably went into all those little tasks that happened there for you. But this is a thing called environmental navigation, and it's a pretty complex thing that happens in our body on a daily basis every hour that we're up and walking. And it's a formula too, and it equals perception, what's in our visual gaze, plus movement. And that leads us to our goal, our final outcome. For us today was sitting in a chair and watching us talk. So, while in a rested state, this is pretty easy for us to do. Think about different populations and certain things that they're going to have to overcome to get to their goal or do their performance. For example, dancers, like myself, that's me up there. You could see I got some pretty cool moves. But when you're on stage, there's also lots of lights. You're coordinating your movement with music and synchronizing with other people, and that can create some barriers to your environmental navigation. For elderly, they're working against age here, maybe eye health, and lower ability to move their body and coordinate their movement. Athletes, they're working in a highly competitive state, working in a faster environment, and they have to also think about winning too, so that's another thing that they're coordinating against. And now, think about when you came into this building. Imagine if there was smoke all around you. You're breathing in the smoke. It's a darkened environment. You're wearing 25 pounds of extra weight on your body, and the floor is crumbling beneath you. Well, that's the kind of environment a firefighter is working in on a daily basis. It depends on the time of year, right? But it's a pretty high-stakes environment to navigate through. And actually, this is our population of interest in this study. We see that around 30% of on-site injuries for firefighters is due to slips, trips, and falls. And that is what we're trying to learn more about in our environmental navigation study. So, we're looking at fatigue here. Firefighters are working in a highly fatigued state. And there's been previous literature done on fatigue. That includes eyesight. We see that post-exercise, post-high-intensity exercise, there's a decrease in eye movement and a decrease in perception of the environment. We also see that in firefighters, actually, that in a fatigued state, they have a harder time moving, and it decreases their ability to walk and clear obstacles. So, our study is combining the two. We're looking at pre- and post-fatigue and what happens between the eyes and coordinating movement as a person crosses an obstacle. So, based on previous literature, we believe that eye movement will decrease post-exercise. And then we also believe that lower body will also decrease. There'll be less of a foot clearance over our obstacle. So, we have 3 portions for our data and how we collected it and how we analyzed it. Our first visit involved an initial visit. We recruited subjects, but they had to qualify for our study based off of their resting heart rate. We found them to be fit based off of a resting heart rate equation that we decided to use based off of previous literature. And then if they passed that round, we took them on to data collection. And this involved a resting crossing trial, and then we had them exercise doing a fatigue protocol, and then after that, we had them cross again, collecting all the data. And then we analyze our data. This is our lab. This is the obstacle that the person crosses. As you can see It's pretty simple. It's just a stepping over. But what you can't see is that there's a motion sensor light, and when the person comes close to the obstacle, the light suddenly turns on, and then the object appears. And we're moving the obstacle every trial. This is what the laboratory looks like when the lights are off, and this is what the subject is experiencing when they're about to cross the obstacle. We collected our data using reflective markers on the lower extremity. We also used a heart rate sensor to detect how hard the person was working during the exercise and during the crossing trials. And then we also used Tobii eye tracking glasses to detect all the little movements going on in the eyes during the crossing trials. So this is what we're looking at when we're analyzing our data. With the light off, we can see a circle in that image, and that's where the pupils are actually coming towards to look at. So they're fixating on that point. And then the red lines in the back is actually where they were tracing prior towards that gaze fixation. Over here, we see when the light turns on, there's less tracking motion happening, and they're starting to fixate a little bit more. Over here, gaze starts to initiate. And then the gaze ends, and it comes towards the obstacle. So all of this is happening in fractions of a second, but it is really important. So this is a free body diagram of what we're looking at here in the lower body. A is our hip angle, B is our knee angle, and C is our foot clearance over the obstacle. So we have some preliminary findings so far, and this study is still ongoing, but our research suggests that there is an increase in eye latency and also no changes so far in the lower extremity post-exercise. So what does this mean? Well, it means that it's taking the person more time to see the obstacle and less time to cross it. So this is really interesting because it's showing that eye movement changes post-exercise. And while the changes are not seen in healthy college-aged kids, it could be interesting to see the impacts on adding perceptual training to the dancing population and seeing how it impacts their performance. It would be interesting to look at changing and adding eye training in towards physical therapy programs as an injury prevention method for elderly adults. And it would be really cool to see the impacts of incorporating some vision training and perception training on athletes. It could be the difference, fractions of a second could be the difference between first and second place. And then lastly, think about the importance of maybe adding some kind of vision training or even studying it further for the firefighter community. It's a highly demanding occupation, and imagine if we could just make the little bit of difference in that half fraction of a second, we could maybe change the lives of many people. So, when you start going to your car on your way home, walking up the stairs, turning left to get out of this building, texting on your phone and leaving, and then you finally get to your destination of sitting in your car, starting it, think of all the little things that are going on to get you to your destination. Thank you.
Thank you for your very nice talk. I have a couple questions for you. The first one was, you talked about there was an increase in eye latency, but no change in muscle behavior or limb behavior, kinematics. In fact, did I hear you say that it was actually faster?
No, there's an increase in latency, so it's actually slower. So it's taking them longer to perceive the obstacle.
Not visually, I'm sorry, the kinematics of the lower extremity.
Oh, the kinematics are showing no change. So
no change. But
so
the behavior overall, so has anyone missed the obstacle or?
Well, we're still processing a lot of our data. I think maybe one trial we saw someone kind of hiccup, but we haven't gotten to that analyzing yet.
And then right now you're only doing this study, you said, with this one population. Is there a plan to do the same, repeat the study with different populations?
Yeah, depending on our findings, we hope to expand and also narrow down, create a more complex methodology to apply it further to the firefighter population.
And then how are you maintaining subject safety if you're walking in the dark and then something appears in front of them?
So what you can't see in that picture of the obstacle, it doesn't stay put. If the person kicks the obstacle, the bar simply falls off. So there's no risk of actually tripping.
Well, that's a relief.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.